If you open your books, you'll see right after the index page, you'll see a page that says commitment. And you can skip past that, and we enter section 1, and it says about the experience. And we have set up this workshop to be more of an experience than a lecture. We believe that in order for human beings to make things real, we have to experience them in some way. And so there will be times when we'll be, relaying what we think could be valuable information and that sort of thing. But by and large, we try to keep it fast-paced, experiential, because we think that at the end of the day, we'll actually learn and retain the most if we do it in that way. So we teach the course with what are called accelerated learning or teaching techniques. And so as we go through, you'll see things, for instance, like music. We'll play music at different times, different types of music at different times during the course. And we do this because we find that there are two types of learning and two sides of the brain. There's the left brain and the right brain. Left brain is primarily the logical side, logical, sequential, that sort of thing. And then there's the right side, which is more intuitive, and that sort of thing. And so what we find and what the data shows is that if we engage both sides of the brain, that we learn more and we retain more. So some of the things that engage the right side of the brain, for instance, are music. And you'll see in many of the learning situations that maybe you've been in, there's been a lot of teaching to the left side of the brain. You probably have all been in, here's someone up here lecturing, or they're at the podium lecturing, and it goes on for an hour or something like that. And what are you doing, 15 or 20 minutes into it, normally? Yeah, you're hanging on for dear life, when's the break, or maybe he'll crack a joke at some point, anything to try and get through it. So that left brain, the chalkboard stuff and that sort of thing, it's great, but it really needs to be balanced with the right side as well. So music, and of course we'll change the music up from time to time, and when you change music, what happens normally? Different types of music. What would you think?
Stimulates your brain differently.
Say it again?
Stimulates your brain differently.
Yeah, it's really, you can play really up music, and people generally feel kind of up. You can play, real soft music, or yeah. So music, and we'll use that. The liberal use of colors, you'll see that for the most part, we will always use 2 or more colors. And when you use 2 or more colors, that engages the right side of the brain. We'll display the information. You'll start to see, we're going to put flip charts up on the wall, and eventually there'll be a whole lot of flip charts up on the wall. What knows more, your conscious mind or your unconscious mind? Unconscious mind, exactly. So it turns out your unconscious mind actually knows almost everything, and it's really aware of a lot more than the conscious mind. And so when we have these things up on the wall and around the room, you'll actually, in one way or another, you will be engaging with those things. So it's a way to accelerate the learning as well. The team learning. We're going to test individual learning versus team learning. What do we know about team learning versus individual learning in general? You think you learn more as a team, or what do you think?
I think there are some rare people that don't do well in a team, but for the most part I think you do. It's synergistic.
Yeah.
And you build on ideas presented.
Yes. It turns out that the data is very clear that for the most part we learn more working as a team than we do as an individual. And there are those certain individuals that are brilliant on their own, but they're more rare than the rule. And then active participation by the students. I mentioned we're going to do a lot of things. We're going to be up and about and doing things and working together and that sort of thing. So it's going to be set up to be experiential for the most part. Now, active participation, what we suggest is that you're going to learn more if you participate, if you kind of go for it a little bit. And so there's no push in this course. Nobody's going to make you try and do anything. But we just suggest that if you're looking at your participation level and there's a decision whether to go forward or pull back, do your best to go forward. All right, breaks. We're going to take a lot of them. We're going to take a 10-minute break roughly every 50 minutes. Why would we waste so much of your valuable time?
We need rest.
Say again?
We need rest.
We need rest? Absolutely. It turns out that we learn and retain more and get more work done with frequent breaks. And this goes for the workplace as well. Imagine this. You're sitting in your office, and you're sitting there, you know, and you're back in your chair, and you're thinking up the next $1 million idea for the business. What happens when the boss walks into your room? Oh, yeah, you're on the computer, you're on the, you know. What do you have to look when the boss walks into the room? Busy, yeah. But it turns out that we actually get much more done, and our work is better if we take frequent breaks. So roughly every 50 minutes, we're going to take a 10-minute break. And I'll go through how we take a break a little later. Okay, the course materials. You've got a workbook in front of you. It's not real thick, not a lot of stuff in there. Well, we're going to pass out some of these things as we go along. Why don't we put everything in that workbook for you right now?
There's people like me to look at.
What will you do?
I've already tried to look at.
Yeah, look, you already went through, yes? Joya, what will we do?
They'll read it.
You'll read it, yeah. As a matter of fact, how many have ever gone into, you know, maybe a 2-day seminar or even 3 sometimes, you know, a conference, and you go out and you sit down and you've got this big, thick workbook in front of you. You've got 10 minutes before the first speaker comes on. What do? Yeah, I mean, you finished the course before, you know, the introduction for the keynote comes on. So one of the things that we're going to do is we'll pass out some of the key things as we go so that you don't get ahead, and we allow for, hopefully, the best learning experience by keeping our timing on. Name tags. You're wearing name tags. What's on the name tag? Your name. What would normally be on a name tag if you were going to a workshop? Say company, position, and of course what happens the second someone, now you're meeting new people, and you come up and you go, hey Todd, I see that you're the new guy in the stock room. Nice talking to you, Todd. You know, and then you go, oh, Joya, CEO, my gosh, I've heard so much about you. This is fantastic. Should we get lunch? Maybe I could give you a call next week. So am I talking to Joya now? What am I talking to? I'm talking to the CEO. When I'm over here, am I talking to Todd? What am I talking to? The stock guy. Yeah, so all of a sudden we've taken this image, we just created an image, and now we don't see the person anymore. So the idea is, you know, we're going to get to know what everybody does, of course, in here and that sort of thing. But for the most part, we're going to try and see each other as human beings, fellow human beings. And in some cases, maybe even kindred spirits. You never know. Taking notes, you'll notice you have 3 colors, or 4 colors of, not markers, what are they? Highlighters. So we have 4 colors of highlighters, and we'd recommend that when you take notes, use your highlighters too, you know. I mean, if something's important, or, you know, and use 2 or more colors. Be creative, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be linear. And you'll be surprised. I mean, if you just draw pictures and you use colors and so forth, when you go back to your notes, if you ever do, it'll come right back. It'll certainly come back much better than if you just have a list. And we know you'll never go back to your notes, so don't worry about it. Temperature in the room. We generally try to keep the temperature in the room at 68, 69, 70. Why don't we run it up to 75 maybe?
Sleepy.
Say again?
Gets you sleepy.
It gets you sleepy. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what happens. If you get over 72, you will go to sleep, particularly after lunch. By the way, if you're ever going to be speaking and you've got the after lunch presentation, you're dead. It doesn't matter if it's warm in the room. It doesn't matter how brilliant you are. It doesn't matter what a great entertainer you are. Nothing. Everybody will be asleep in about 5 minutes. So temperature is real important. If you find that it gets a little nippy in the room, you know, and you have a jacket or something, just go ahead and slip it on. Games. We're going to play some games, and we have some exercises. There's only 1 game, I think, that it's possible you might have played. If you played the game, we only ask that you don't tell any of the other people that you played the game. That's all. And then just play it like you normally would. Assistants, we have Linda, who is going to be assistant and in some cases a co-facilitator. And then in the back of the room we have a couple of very industrious people. We have Barry Mattis, and Barry has been a long-time friend, and we've actually done quite a bit of work together from, how long has it been, Barry?
20 years or something like that.
20 years, and we could tell you some great stories about the evolution of their business and that sort of thing. And Barry is going to be videoing this, and we're going to be using the video primarily for teaching purposes. So thank you so much for that, Barry. And then we have Christy, and Christy has we've sort of been emailing back and forth and missing each other for a number of years. But Christy she's an expert in being able to pull together programs and put things into what you call a formal format, something like that. Sure. Yeah. So she's in design, and she knows how to do all that stuff. So she's actually going to take some of these things and put it into a format that would make some sense to somebody other than me. So thanks so much for that, Christy. And I think that's about it, except for the last detail, which is far and away the most important detail. And at the bottom it says participation. So what we're going to do over the next 2 days really is an experience. We're going to be talking about the 4 agreements. If I talk about the 4 agreements for the next 2 days, how much are you going to walk out of here with? Aside from wanting to kill me. Probably not nearly what you would like to walk out of here with. But if we can create an experience of the 4 agreements for you that makes it real for you, and when you walk out in 2 days, you'll probably feel like it was time well spent. So the name of the game is to participate, and there's going to be this much opportunity over the next 2 days. If you take this much, you'll probably feel like this was a really great workshop and that you really got your money's worth. But there's this much potential. So I would just encourage you. Some of the things that we set up are set up to challenge you in certain ways. So, when you get to that point where you go, should I go forward or should I go back? I would just ask you to, do your best. Maybe just take a little step forward. The more you participate, the more you'll gain from the course. And so it's up to you. There's no push in this course. Nobody's asked to do anything you don't want to do. It's purely up to you. But this will be your opportunity, and I would just suggest that you take full advantage, at least to the best of your ability. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about kind of the logistics and what we're going to do or anything? All right.